I don't like
you,
this.
Lord.
Can you give me another book?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Hey, hallelujah.
Oh, take that one off.
Take that one.
Yeah. There you go. I need something.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's better.
Yeah.
We give you the praise. We give you the glory. We give you the honor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let me know when.
It's on.
It's on. Thank you for joining us this Mother's Day. We're going to try our best to get through this. It's been a rough morning for, I think, my wife and I both. I always say, don't let what you see make you think you know what's going on in people's lives, because most of the times you don't. Happy Mother's Day. And again, if to all of the mothers, wannabe mothers, thank you, our mothers. Happy Mother's Day to you anyway. Very special day for me. I know it's not a national holiday. We, as Americans, celebrate it as a national holiday, or celebrate it as not so much a holiday. It's just a day to honor the mothers. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I just, with the work that they put in, taking care of us and helping us and bearing children. Lord knows, our joke on the job, if men had to bear children, the population would not be 7 billion or
Yeah.
I promise you now, the pain you all have to go through to be a mother, and then after that, they get up and get the nasty attitudes with you and try to control your bad mouths. I don't know how y'all put up with that. I always teach the women on the job, with that much pain, and then you go back again for another one, there must be something wrong. It's something it's something wrong with you. Psychologically, your head needs to be examined. But that's just the way women are. The pain is forgotten, and the love is always, seemed to me, that it's enduring. It's forever. They have a love for you. And I was just thinking about my mom this morning, and I always say the phrase that I will never, ever forget. And when your own dear, sweet mom looks at you and says, all my life, I've been looking for a leader, and I didn't know I'd given birth to it. If that don't make you cry just thinking about her, if that don't make you miss her, I don't know what else will. Because a lot of people, because it is Mother's Day, they have a strange relationship with their parents. Sometimes it's with the father, sometimes it's with the mother. And I oftentimes say building a relationship with people, because I have learned how to do it, it's not so much an easy task, but it's easy once you get the skills to know that you're not going to change your parents. You have to know your parents will not always be right. You have to accept that. But yet, how do you do that and respect them?
Right.
That's the key.
Right.
How do I respect you when I know you're wrong? When I know the information you just told me was wrong. I don't have to destroy you because you're wrong. I let you stay where you are. There is I think it's a scripture in Revelation where the author is described to Paul writes, he that is ignorant, let him stay that way. In other words, I'm not always out to change. Ignorant means you don't know. Don't mean you're bad. It just means you don't know.
Yeah.
And when people are ignorant, or ignorant of stuff that they're talking about, don't try to change them. That's the respect that you have for them. Let them have that. I always say, let them have it. Let them have it. As long as they, when they start to maybe doing bad things to you, that may be different. But I'm not going to argue with you. That's because I don't want to argue with you. But I'm just huge on that respect factor. And that's what let me know it was something wrong with not just so much as my dad. It was something wrong with me. I was angry. And I wanted to let him know I didn't like how he had raised me. I didn't like the things he had done to the family. And I couldn't just tell him, so I showed him through my disrespectfulness. And that's why I teach today how to be respectful, because I've learned how to respect him. And sometimes respect him is when he's wrong. How do you not disrespect him when you know that he's wrong in what he said, wrong in what he's done? Well, then that's that unconditional love. That's unconditional love. No, I don't agree with you, but no, I'm not going to disrespect you. And that's where I am in my life now. And it takes some help from above, I won't lie. It took some help from above to get there. And that's why I oftentimes think about a statement that I heard Dr. Phil make, and I know some truth to it. He listens to people when they're talking to tell whether or not they're going to repeat that offense again. And it is. I heard a woman talking the other day, and I said, she's going to do it again. And the reason why I knew she was going to do it again is she said one thing, and then she jumped on to something else. And it was a clear indicator that when you don't own your behavior, heard how I just put it? When you don't own your part of the behavior, and you think you're behaving because someone else is behaving, you're not owning it. That's how I got to the point where I am now. I had to own my behavior. Now, my mom made me feel good. It was my dad that I had a problem with. Because when your mom died, say, you're her leader, and you're her son. And it wasn't because I was her son that I was her leader.
Right.
I want you to understand that my mom was very particular about what she followed. And I mean, if you won't allow your children to go next door to get a loaf of bread or some milk from someone or let them borrow stuff from someone, you're a very particular person.
Yeah.
That's the way we were not allowed to go borrow stuff. Just that she wouldn't tolerate that. She was, son, we'll do without it.
Do without.
That's the way she raised. And I'm like that today. I'm not going to borrow no bread from the neighbor, no sugar from the neighbor. I'll do without it. I'll put some honey in it. I'll put something else in it. I'll put some brown sugar in it. But I'm not going next door to knock on your door to borrow anything from you.
Now, it's not that we had to borrow anything, but when people would cook, you think my mom would let us eat their cooking? We couldn't touch it.
Nope.
And we wanted to so bad. That chocolate cake and them cakes would be looking so good. My mama said, no.
She gave that look. You got that look. You know.
I made one. I bought it here, and then we got some at home. But we couldn't.
But that's teaching. What
and
kind of teaching is that?
And I remember when you say that. I remember Thanksgiving. I would be like, Mama, why are you making two of those? One for the house and one for the function. Just in case at that function you didn't get anything, you don't have to act the fool. Because when you come home, it was one of those already at the house. And don't get over there acting up. Don't get over there acting like you don't have no home training.
I'm like, but we know them.
Yeah, she don't care. And she did that a lot. I mean, I would be looking at her like, why is she making so much of that stuff? Because she would go keep some at the house. So, because she never ever trusted that no one else going to feed her kids or feed her family. She was going to do that herself. She cooked every day. And I mean, every day when we got older, we stopped her from cooking. It's Thursdays or Fridays, we said, that's it. You have grandkids now, you have older kids, we'll buy something for our own. But believe it or not, she would still cook. She would cook for my dad.
I believe it.
I ain't cooking for you, she said. I'm cooking for George. So we knew that Willie George, but she called him George. So we knew when we came home, we eating with pizza. Mama didn't eat pizza. I can't tell you I've ever seen my mama eat a pizza. Never. Mom passed at 56, and I can't ever tell you I ever seen it. She did eat it. I never seen it. No, I've never seen her eat a pizza. It was always home cooked meals.
Really having been around us borrowing things from anyway. We was miles from people.
Right.
We were miles. I mean, we were so far away.
Wow. That's why
you had to do it. A car to get to us.
But yeah, we live all about. My whole family lived within the vicinity of each other.
Really?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, brother, my dad lived here. His brother lived over there. The other brother lived there. We were but she didn't allow us to leave that house to go borrow nothing from anyone.
Wow. Even family? Wow.
Not even family.
Okay.
So that's why I won't say that's the only way to live, but it taught me how to suffer. What it really taught me is how to do without.
How to do without.
Yeah.
You got to learn that it's not going to always be what you want. I learned how to do it. And it didn't kill us that we didn't get it. You didn't die. I didn't die because we didn't get a loaf of bread. I didn't die because I learned how to do without. Delayed gratification. Get it later. Now, sometimes as big as I get, I need to get away from that slice of cake, or need to get away from that piece of bread, or need to put that milk down. Matter of fact, when I came out here, my cholesterol was 277. You know I needed to put down some stuff.
Yeah.
So it taught me when I needed to do it, how to do it. That you're not going to die if you put it away. Mothers are very important. I remember I'd done a study on that last, and I was just looking at the word mother this morning, and when Christ used it, I think it was in John and some of the other. When he used the word mother, behold thy mother, it's not really that, I won't say a fancy of a word, but the connotation is really not that great. I just found it interesting. And I've always thought about when Christ said we had to leave mother and father and cleave to our wife, because he knew the influence or the impact that they had. That's why I'm convinced that he's trying to start a whole new culture, because he know what we grew up in.
Yeah.
And mothers influenced us and fathers influenced us, so our parents and uncles and all of these people, they influenced us so much so that he was saying that the man was supposed to leave that and start his own family, especially when it comes to the family of God. And he was to teach his children, I think I hit that again, teach his children how and what God wanted. And because a lot of times parents are raising you for what they want. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what parents do. They want you. You know, there's some parents that don't want their children to do certain things. Don't mean it's right or wrong. It's culturally, or that's what they want. And I think Hebrew, the writer, or one of the writers, Peter, one of them, addressed that. And that same principle, God does the same to us. God disciplines us. Is what it was talking about. It's discipline. Discipline is used to correct you so that they can get what they want. They have an preconceived idea already in their head of what they want you to look like. Well, God has that same principle. He has something in his mind that he wants you to look like. So that's why he has to discipline us. That's why he takes things away. That's why he don't spank us with a switch, because God's a spirit. But God he takes away things.
I noticed.
Or decrease things. Or delay things.
I noticed.
All of that is discipline. My wife is very familiar with that.
Yes, I noticed that. Thank you for reminding me.
So all of that's a part.
I appreciate that.
But most of the word mother when it's in the Bible, I was just asking my wife and I'm going to read at least some scriptures on it. What I said, 3384. I didn't write that. 33. Not yet. What it means is mother. That's just matar.
Matar.
Mother. That's really all it is.
Oh.
It don't give a whole lot of Greek definition for it. Maternity. It's if you take a look at the word, that's where I'm guessing maternity would come from that word. I'm telling you, when you look it up, it don't give you a whole lot. But then you have to look at the connotation in which it was used. All right, let's look at one. What is it? Matthew 10:37. So what we'll do, we'll just go through some of these and see. It's the same thing. And you can see Jesus' perception.
Yeah.
Matthew 10:30. You can see what, I mean, all you see here is what he has to say next about that person we call mother, or Matthew chapter 10, verse 37. Let's look at it. 10:30. Okay, read.
He that loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me.
I didn't write that.
Mm-hmm.
And he that loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Wow.
That's
self-explanatory.
yeah. When it comes, cause remember, I'm trying not to deviate too much from where we on the word King and Lord. This is your Lord speaking to you, and your Lord is saying, "He who loves blanks." I mean, brackets. Now, bracket. Help me with that bracket, white. The comma, honey.
Is it comma or bracket?
This is bracket. And in the bracket, it says, and takes more pleasure in.
That's another example of it.
Okay, it's giving you an example. That's what the word love is. He's giving you an example of what the word love is in this particular. He who loves, bracket, and takes more pleasure in. Father or mother, more than in bracket, me. Is not worthy of me. See, that's a whole new, cause remember, I'm up crying. I ain't crying because of Jesus this morning. I'm crying because I miss who? Mom. And the effects that she has on my life. How do I know that I love Jesus more than or I take more pleasure in Jesus than I did my mother? How do I know that? When he asked me to leave my mother and go west, young man. Did I do it?
Yeah.
When I got ready to go back to take care of my mother.
I wanted to.
I wanted to go back and take care of my mother. You must leave mother and father and cleave to. Now, that will make people upset because they're going, there's no way God would ask you to do that. I know. If you stay within your culture and stay within your setting, you are absolutely correct. But when you really fall in love with Jesus, when you really say Jesus is your Lord, which is what I was telling people, when your Lord asks you to do something. In a kingdom, does he own me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a citizen.
So now you have to say, well, you can't get no elect. That's why people, I'm going to tell you the truth. Let's be honest. People don't like this Jesus. They only like this Jesus if he decreeing and declaring things they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Lord did it for me.
Yeah. If when he asks you to do something that's totally, there ain't no way God told you to do. I know ain't no way you believe God told me to do that or you to do that. There isn't, because that's inconveniencing you because you think you own your life. But when you say he is your Lord, he doesn't own your life. I mean, you don't own your life. Right. He owns your life. He has some things he wants to get done. And that has been the challenges of my life for these last 40-some years, is really now understanding that he is Lord. Remember, Lord, King deals with authority. Lord deals with domain, deals with territory. What territory of my body, of me, does he have or does he want? All of me. All of me. So what part really controls you? Your what?
Mind.
Your mind. So he talks to your mind. He wants to get, that's why he said, love me with all your what?
Your heart.
Heart. You know he ain't talking about this.
Right.
Seed of affection is what he was talking about. All of your play. In other words, you seek to please me. And in pleasing me, he says, this is what I want you to do. I want you to love me more than you love me. I want you to have more pleasure in me than you do your own mother or father. Now that's asking a lot. You might kindly exit stage left if you like. You can walk away if you like, but he's not going to change. I heard him talking on Bill Maher a couple weeks ago, and the guy was saying, well, this is what Jesus taught about divorce, marriage and divorce. Oh, yeah. So you remember that? And I was saying, see, now we who are church folk, we know what Jesus said about marriage and divorce. We know what Jesus, we looking at this and seeing what he's saying about your mother, the one that everybody's going to be talking about today. He didn't say you couldn't love her. He said, but you can't take more pleasure in her. That means she cannot dominate or supersede you over Jesus. And that's tough. That'll make you say amen with a lump in your throat. You said it. You said, I agree. But it was like you had a lump. Because you know that's tough. That's why he said to the disciples, he turned and looked at him, he said, can you eat my flesh? In other words, not physically eat him and become what do they call them, people that eat people? Cannibalism. He was saying my words. Can you eat the words that I'm about to say to you? Because what I'm going to say to you is going to be tough. It won't be water. It won't be milk. You cannot follow Jesus without a made up mind, without a mind of commitment, because he says some things that are just downright, we call it rude. We call it tough. We call it he ain't playing. You got to have your mind made up to walk with him. And this will help you know whether or not you love him or not. You don't have to question your love. Sometimes I lay in that bed and go, did I love Jesus more than I love my parents, my family? Yeah, because I left at his command. I did not leave at their command. I don't go back home at their command. Everything is at his command. That's why it is imperative. It is so important that you get a relationship with him. And I have to include that he's not dead, because Easter, y'all told me he died, and 3 days later, he rose again. And you even do his last 7 words and last 10 sentences or whatever y'all do on Easter that I'm accustomed to. But you told me he got up. So therefore, you can develop a relationship with a person or a spirit that is alive. But you can't with one that's dead. That's dead. So there's no excuse. Right. The question is, do you want that? Right. Do you want to get a relationship with him? I will promise you'll be better off. Right. It don't look like it, but you will be better off, because things are going to happen whether you develop a relationship or not. Right. What he helps you to do is to deal with them better. Right. He promises you strength. He promises he'll be there. I always keep going back to something my wife said, and God knows it's one of the things that will not ever go away in my mind. He can't help you if you're not with him. That's tough. You can quote his Constitution. You can quote Scripture, but he can't help you if you're not with him. If you don't want him. That's right. He can't help you. And that I'm telling you, when she said that some years ago to me, I never forgot that. Because as my sons, Jared and Kyson are my children, and Emmy, I'm going to help them because why? You're their dad. I'm their dad, and I love them. They're my children. Now, I'm not helping every child. I can't help every child. Right. I just can't do it. And I know it. Well, he's our father. What he's talking about here is people who have given themselves to him, and he has put his spirit on the inside of them, and they have become his children, restored back to his spiritual family, and given himself totally and walking and seeking to have more pleasure in him than they do anything in everybody else. He says, if then in me is not worthy of me, and he who loves and takes more pleasure in son, even your son, even I just called Jared and Emmy and Kai, because they're going to leave me. That's right. They're going to exit this house. Yeah. I'm going to help them exit this house. Yeah. I'm going to pray that they leave this house. Right. That's why I have. They're going to do it. You ain't got to pray. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. Most of them go. Even if you don't raise them right, They want to go even if they're afraid to go. A lot of them still at home today because they're actually afraid. I know that because Karen and I stayed with her mama until Mac Lee, laying in that bed, made up his mind that I was no longer, I ain't going to say I was using mom, but I was afraid to go out there and become a man on my own. And I knew somebody who had it, so I felt safe and secure. And I think that kind of like messed with the relationship a little bit. Because had I got on out of there and become the man that I should have become, rather than using her to accommodate my fears, because I didn't think I was going to make it. I'm out here in California. I'm the only one out here by myself, but I was doing okay. And my wife can testify. I turned around to her one morning. We were lying in the bed. And I said, let's go suffer on our own. Did I say that?
Yep.
And are we suffering on our own?
Yep.
Yeah. But are we making and surviving?
Yeah.
If she ain't making and surviving, how come you had to lose 30 pounds? Put them back on, you see what they look like. There you go. Now, people who don't have nothing can't gain 30 pounds.
Right.
All right, well, ain't the right stuff I should be eating. I watched 60 Minutes the other day, and them folk would love to eat what you eat. Matter of fact, I watched a young man who, I was telling my wife, John C. Maxwell has this right. No matter what people are going through, they still have hopes and dreams. This was outside of Syria. It's the most dangerous country. When they leave, they go to Syria. I can't think. I know a ball is in the name of it. B-O something ball. And they killed, ISIS killed his mother, his sister, his brother, all of them in front of him. Just blew him up. But somehow he escaped. But still when they was talking to him, I want to go back and help my country. What's your dreams? See, all of this stuff, you never ever lose your dreams. What would you like to do? What would you, and I'm throwing a little icing on that cake and going, we who have the Spirit of God on, we know what we have to do. Just keep walking with him because sooner or later, I know it don't look like it, but sooner or later, I've seen this movie before. It didn't look like I was going to come out when I was in Louisiana. I see, y'all had to hit a praise, right? If you had a seen me and what I was going through, Mama died. Well, Mom died when I was out here, but lost my house, lost my spouse. Children couldn't buy them a 25-cent soda. I'm telling you what God loved. My 35-year-old daughter walked up to me at that time, she was 4 or 5, said, Daddy, I want a soda. And it was 25 cents. I looked up at the machine and I did not have 25 cents in my savings checking, in my pocket. I couldn't find it. My sister would tell you I lost everything I had, including my house. And if you had looked at me, there was no way that I was supposed to bounce back. But when I came out here to California, you know you have a God helping you when he tells you to hold your head up high. And let's not throw in how I was being treated at the church. Right. While I'm going through all of this, the church folks saying he's the devil. He ain't no good. He won't listen to nobody. Well, I was listening to somebody. You just couldn't see him. Because he was helping me to get through all of this stuff that I'm going through.
Thank you, God.
While you criticizing me and calling me saying I got everything but horns on my head, he was still helping me even through that.
Yes, yes, in his spirit.
And now, those same people, I just love them. Because I needed you to help me grow. And if you don't think I speak with confidence now, but if you had, I'm telling you, let's go back to that statement. If you had looked at me then, and that song said, I'm glad I don't look like what I've been through. And I was walking down the street and all I could hear was hold your head up. Walk like a soldier. Stick your chest out. Know I'm on your side. And all of a sudden, I won't tell you no lie. 3 or 4 years later, 5 years later, stuff started happening in my favor. What if I had given up because of what it looked like, because of what I was going through, because of how I was being treated? I wouldn't be here to tell it today.
Hallelujah. Thank you.
I'm here to tell it today because I know just when I thought, and there were days I felt like there's no way I can continue to go through. Heart was just broken. I mean, it's when your heart is broken and you don't know how you're going to make it, how you're going to come out, how you're going to come through this. You can't get help from no one, and everybody has an opinion of you. I was telling my wife I had a dream last night that somebody was saying everybody was talking about you. And that's, but I don't care what people say now. It's just, that's why you have to understand that I just really don't care what you have to say, because I know somebody who will bring me through even when you're talking about stuff and you're right. Yes, he did. Yes, he got some ugly shoes on. You're right. Yes, his children have shoes with holes in them. You're absolutely correct. But that's not my life. That's not me. I'm coming up out of this after a while. Yeah. At some point, when I break free, because I've seen this movie before. Mm-hmm. This is just the end of the beginning. Yeah. I've seen this movie before. Mm-hmm. Even you don't have to tell me. I get depressed looking at this movie. But I also know I've seen this movie before, and I know how it turns out. Yes, sir. I'm going to be smiling at the end. Mm-hmm. And you're going to have to see, that's the way we're all going to have to walk with God. We're all going to have to walk with him in tough times and good times. When mama is here, when mama is gone, he's got to become the one that you have more pleasure in. Right. He is my Lord. Mm-hmm. He is my King. Mm-hmm. He is my everything. Mm-hmm. He's all that I have. And yet, I had a mother who believed in that, who saw him in me, who saw him working with me, who saw him developing and had enough love for him and me to say, you go ahead and go.
Thank you, God. Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. You gotta obey him. Mm-hmm. You have to do what God said, even though you're breaking my heart. Then he says in verse 38, and he who does not take up his cross and follow me, cleave, that's what the word follow is indicating. Cleave steadfastly. Is that what glue does? Mm-hmm. Not just cleave, but cleave steadfastly, he says to me. Conforming wholly to my example in living. That's what he's saying in verse 38. Conforming. You wouldn't know what conforming means, right? Shaping.
Can come together.
Yes. Well, just in case you don't know what conforming means, let's go look at what did I have? Let's look at it. Mm-hmm. All right. There we go.
It may be a little.
That
may be an adult word, though.
Yeah, that might be. But I ought to give my son something to help him know what conform. Help him know what conform means. Mm-hmm. Even though we do, we know what that is. But let's just see what he's saying. Conform. There you go. It's a verb. All right. Let's read it. And he who does not take up his cross and follow me, cleave steadfastly to me, conforming wholly to my example in living, and if need be, in dying also. Mm-hmm. All of that's in bracket. Mm-hmm. Is not worthy of me. And if need be. You got to follow me so closely that you got to conform to my way just like I'm living and also just like I die. No. Can we read that again? Mm-hmm. And he who does not take up his cross and follow me, cleave steadfastly to me, conforming, which means to think or behave in the same way as everyone else. Mm-hmm. In this case, he's talking about who? Jesus is talking about conforming and look like who? Him. Mm-hmm. So it's thinking and behave. That's exactly the way this man has bracketed this. What conform wholly, completely to my example, or the way this book writes it, to my way of thinking. Mm-hmm. To think or behave in the same way. That's what conform means. That's what water does when you put it in the freezer. It conforms and shapes itself to whatever you put it in. Yes. So if you put water in a freezer and it's in a Mickey Mouse shaped head, what is it going to conform itself to? It's going to look just like a Mickey Mouse shaped head. Mm-hmm. So it's conforming or thinking just like that shape. That's what Christ is saying. So that's why I'm saying, so then you got to tell me Jesus was talking about religion. You got to tell me Jesus was thinking about See, this is why I question all of this stuff. So you got to tell me, but you got to conform and think just like Jesus. Okay, what was Jesus thinking and what was he doing? And how was he behaving? And he's telling me, so if mama is telling me, Saul, I want you to be Methodist and Baptist or whatever all these different religions, or I want you to be ISIS, I want you to be this. But Jesus comes along and said, I want you to conform and think holy and complete. How you going to know that if you ain't studying what he was thinking and talking and doing and behaving? Right. What was he doing? Healing folk, delivering folk, casting out devils, all of this stuff. And I should listen to you, and you're not doing any of that? You're not thinking about any of that? And what was his only message?
The kingdom.
Kingdom. But you won't preach the kingdom because you don't understand the kingdom. You don't know nothing about the kingdom. You won't even seek the kingdom. But I should follow you. And I should be where you are this morning. I say not so.
Nope.
How about if I just love you right where you are?
Just love you, no matter what.
How come I just can't love you right where you are? Not be mad at you that you've chosen to go the direction you going, and let you be mad at me and tell me I'm not in your class this morning, so therefore I ain't on my way to heaven. Bologna sandwich, salami sandwich, bologna and cheese, fried bologna and cheese sandwich. That's all that equals to me. No ma'am, no sir. Because even if I was in your assembly this morning, I would teach this just like, see what I just told you just then? And if you're not, I'm shaking it. If you don't behave and conform yourself and you don't take more pleasure in him than you do, it doesn't matter where I am, I got to teach that.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. I got to teach that. He didn't say for me to teach you to conform wholly and completely like me. I got to do it too.
Yeah. You do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Everyone. That's why people don't. It just bothers me. You won't open your book and study. How you going to conform to him if you going
You got to get it.
How you going to think like him? Did not Paul write, let this what? Mind. If you
have to have the same mind.
You got to have. That's what he was talking to. What do we think with? We think with our what?
Mind.
To think, so your thinking controls your behavior. You know why? If I thought right now I'm going to go to Early's house and kill Steve, it starts with a thought.
It starts with a thought.
And then if I keep thinking that, it's going to affect my behavior. What's going to be the next thing? If I'm going to kill him, I'm going to get me something to kill him. It's going to go into action. See, you're not thinking and behaving like him because you don't teach the kingdom. You don't know nothing about the kingdom. You're not going to heal anyone. You're not going to cast out any demons. You don't even think that ought to be happening today. Whatever your excuse may be, that ain't the way he thought.
Yes, shut up, CT.
That's not the way he thought. Well, what a Mother's Day message. Huh? What a Mother's Day thought. Mother's got to think like this way. My wife she's the mother of these 3 kids. She's got to think like this and teach these and be an example of this to her boys. Right. I got to, as the father, be an example of this to my boys. Holy to my example in living, and if need be, didn't say it would come, but if need be, if it came to that point, my way of also the way I die. And if you don't do that, he says, you're not worthy of me. This is a king talking. This is not your president they've caught him in 3,000 lies. He joined the 3,000 club. Not 3,000 base hits or 3,000 cigarettes smoked. 3,000. He's told 3,000 lies.
I don't know how you do that.
Somebody been counting.
My God, that's a lot.
Then he says in 39, whoever finds his or lowers his life, will lose it.
Yeah.
Whoever finds his, lower life, will lose it. The higher life will lose it, the higher life. And whoever loses his lower life on my account will find it, the higher life. You're going to find a higher life.
Yes.
That's what this is. If you want to, we used to sing, take me, what?
Take me to...
Who, you used to sing that, didn't you? No. Take me high. See, the higher life is in losing your life in the lower life. Losing out. More love. There are some mothers who love their sons and their daughters, who take more pleasure in them. Let's be honest. He says, takes more pleasure in not only in son or daughter more than me. So he was saying, really, that's family. If you just want to.
Right.
Look at verse. Let's just go back up the, because when he starts to say all of this, this comes from actually verse 33. But even on up board, but I'm going to just start. But whoever denies me and disowns me before men, I will also deny and disown him before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think, verse 34, do not think that I have come to bring peace upon the earth. Boy, we missed that one, don't we? But I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to part asunder a man from his, when you really follow him, he will part asunder a man from his father, a daughter from her mother, and a newly married wife from her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be of his own household. And then he goes into verse 37 and 38. I don't like them teachers. I don't like that.
Yeah.
That ain't funny.
I don't like a lot of stuff.
Because it goes back to that don't feel bad when you don't fit in. I think it's what's that lady name? The Denied Stone? Vanessa Bell Armstrong. Don't feel bad when you don't fit in. Because this is what he's come to do. He has come and saying, I am priority is what I am the Messiah. I am the King. I am the one. Whatever verbs we use or whatever words we use today, he is saying, I am all that and a bag of chips.
Yes.
And no one and nobody should come ahead of me. And then he starts going into examples of who can come. And I always say these are the people. If these people he's talking about don't come ahead, I don't know who else, because most of the time it's mother, it's father, it's sisters, it's brothers, it's sons and daughters. We have the tendency to place these people above or take more pleasure in them and what they say and what they want and how to please them more than pleasing him.
Yes.
And we'll do all of this and say that is pleasing him. That's not what he said. Conforming to his mind and behavior and his way of thinking is more important. That's more important. That is more important. And that's not a popular message. It wasn't popular then. Because remember when he told that man, let the dead bury the dead? In Hebrew culture, the eldest son was supposed to bury the father. But when Jesus came on the scene, see, what you got to realize, I know people like the Hebrew culture, but he wasn't trying to keep the Hebrew culture alive.
He wanted the Jewish.
The Jews. He was not trying to keep Jewish culture alive. He was trying to extend his culture from heaven through the Jewish culture so that people would fall in love and receive heaven's culture. That's what he was trying to do. And somehow, it is the same thing today. We can't just force African-American culture on people. You can't force European culture on everyone. You can't force Chinese culture on, you live it. But the culture that he really wanted was heaven's culture
inside
of us, affecting. It's called Kingdom of Heaven. That's exactly. And Jesus is the epitome example of the kingdom of heaven, representing the kingdom of God. The culture of, that's why he was teaching forgiveness. That's why he was teaching marriage. That's why he's teaching even this right here today. This is how I want you to behave. This is how I want you to act. I want you to love your matar, mother. And he even says in one of the scriptures, they said, behold your mother and your father. Look at what we're going to get that one and then we're going to get up out of it. They said, Jesus' mother and father had come out to see him while he was hanging on the cross. And I think it's John 2 and 12. Let's see if that's it. He that doeth the will of my Father. I think it's John 2 and 12. I'll look at it right quick. Nope, that ain't the one. He was hanging on the cross. That's it. Maybe John. It may be 19 and 27 then. Because the scene, he's hanging on the cross, and the mother and the father comes up, and they tried to. That's close, but the cross. That may not be the one. Hold on. Matthew. They all wrote it a little bit different. Right. Is that in Matthew 12:49?
I'm looking in the back. In the back, in 49, excuse verse 4% and 12, his disciples and said, behold my mother, my brother.
Which one is that?
That's Matthew 12:49.
Matthew 12:49. That may be the one. Let me take a look at it right quick.
Oh, in 48, he said, but he answered and said unto them that told him, who is my mother?
That's the one. That's the one. So which one is that? 48?
Yeah.
That's the one.
He said to them, behold, my mother and thy brethren stand without the desire to speak with thee. 47.
It's 50.
50.
That's where it is. That's right. And if you look up that Greek word, it says the same. Matar.
Can you read it for me?
Jesus was still speaking to the people when, behold, his mother and brothers stood outside seeking to speak with him. This is Matthew 12 and 46.
Who's speaking? Is Jesus saying this?
Jesus. He was still speaking to, just picture this in your mind. He's standing up there and he's talking to the people. When, behold, his mother and brothers stood outside seeking to speak with him. This is 46. You want to talk to Jesus.
Right.
He's talking and they're seeking, they show up and they want to speak to him. Look at Jesus being disrespectful. Someone said to him, to Jesus, listen, your mother and your brothers are standing outside seeking to speak with you. I can see Jesus about to get nasty, messy. But he replied to the man who told him, to that person who told him, your mother and your brother, they're outside. They want to talk to you. This is what he replied. Who is my mother? And who are my brothers? And stretching out his hand toward not only the 12 disciples, but all his inheritance, those people that would listen to, he said, here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. That's messy. That's a messy man. in today's society, what would we think he should have done?
Talk to him.
Talk to him. Man, your mama out there. He didn't stop what he was doing.
He was getting ready to go to Crow. What was he getting ready to go?
He was heading that way. But there it is. What he was doing was more important than stopping to talk with his mother, his brothers, and his sisters.
He had to do what God told him.
He had to do what God was telling him to do. Ooh,
That's hard.
that's hard.
That's not what we do now.
No.
Hold on, Mama's on the phone. Hold on. Yeah.
I've seen people get nervous talking on the phone if they see their mama's calling. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day. Love you. We'll come back next week and talk some more. Bye-bye. It's tough.
This is tough.
It's tough.
Happy Mother's Day.
The thing I can ask you about is, he said, the flesh